Hello, and welcome to Terra Nash. I'm Aidan, your narrator for tonight. Let's take this time together to step away from the rush of the day and ease into a world of dreams and wonder. Tonight, we will drift into a peaceful story, one filled with gentle hues, soft breezes, and the quiet magic of the evening sky. Before we begin, take a moment to settle in. Find a comfortable position, let your body relax, and let the weight of the day slowly fade away. Breathe in deeply, hold it for just a moment, and now breathe out. With each breath, feel your worries melt like clouds dissolving into the open sky. The world outside can be so full of noise and motion, but here, we're stepping into a calm and quiet place. Imagine a vast expanse of sky stretching above, soft and endless. The sun is just beginning to dip below the horizon, and the first stars are winking into view. Somewhere in that sky floats a tiny, shy cloud named Fluffy, who's about to discover something wonderful about herself. This story is gentle, like the soft glow of twilight. It's meant to carry you into a sense of peace and warmth, reminding you that even the smallest, quietest things in the world hold beauty and purpose. Let your mind soften like the colors of a fading sunset as we step into Fluffy's world. Are you ready? Then close your eyes and let's begin. High above the hills and valleys, a tiny cloud named Fluffy drifted quietly. Unlike the big, billowing clouds that brought rain or the wispy ones that danced freely in the wind, Fluffy had a very special task. She was a sunset painter, responsible for filling the evening sky with color before the stars came out. But despite how important her role was, Fluffy always stayed in the background, too shy to let anyone notice her work. Every evening, she watched the older, more confident clouds create stunning sunsets. They used bold streaks of crimson, fiery orange, and shimmering gold, painting the horizon with breathtaking beauty. Fluffy admired their artistry, but couldn't help feeling small and unsure. Her own colors, she thought, could never compare. She had tried, of course. On quiet evenings when no one was looking, Fluffy would swirl soft lavender into pale pink or mix gentle peaches with subtle blues. She loved the way the colors blended, flowing like whispers across the sky. But just as quickly as she started, she would stop, erasing her strokes with a gust of wind. What if the others laughed at her timid hues? What if the world found her sunsets dull? Tonight, Fluffy floated alone above a peaceful meadow. The sun was beginning its slow descent, casting a warm glow over the earth. It was almost time for the clouds to paint, but Fluffy hesitated as always. She watched the other clouds gather, chatting excitedly about the grand designs they planned to create. Puffy, a large and confident cloud, boomed, "Tonight's sky will be my masterpiece." The other clouds cheered, their voices echoing through the sky. Fluffy shrank back, hiding behind a wisp of mist. "I'll just watch," she whispered to herself, feeling a mix of awe and self-doubt. The idea of contributing to such a grand display felt overwhelming. What if her colors weren't bright enough? What if she made a mistake? As the sun dipped lower, it sent out a golden ray that reached Fluffy, gently nudging her. "Little cloud, it's your turn," the sun said warmly. Fluffy's heart fluttered. She wanted to try, she truly did, but her doubt weighed heavily on her. "I don't think my colors are good enough," she murmured, her voice barely audible. The sun smiled kindly. "Every sunset is special because it comes from the heart. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be yours." Fluffy felt a small flicker of hope, but fear still held her back. As she hovered there, watching the sky change around her, she didn't realize that the wind had been listening too. It swirled around her gently, whispering, "Even the quietest clouds can make the biggest impact. Let yourself try, little one." But Fluffy stayed still, uncertain. The sky above began to glow brighter as the other clouds started their work, painting bold streaks of color. Fluffy watched in awe, her heart full of longing. She didn't realize that deep inside, a spark was beginning to grow, a small but powerful hope that maybe, just maybe, she could find her place among the stars. The next morning, as the sun climbed into the sky, Fluffy floated aimlessly, lost in her thoughts. She gazed down at the world below, where rolling hills stretched into the distance, speckled with green meadows and golden fields. The gentle hum of life carried upward, a stream bubbling, leaves rustling, birds chirping. The world seemed so full of purpose, and Fluffy wondered why she couldn't find hers. Her mind kept replaying the previous evening. The colors in the sunset had been breathtaking, as always, but she couldn't shake the ache of not joining in. Was she meant to stay hidden forever? A soft breeze brushed against her, pulling her from her thoughts. "Good morning, Fluffy," the wind murmured as it spiraled around her. The wind was one of Fluffy's dearest friends, always playful and full of mischief. Today, however, it seemed quieter, more thoughtful. "You've been awfully quiet lately," the wind said, circling her gently. "What's on your mind, little cloud?" Fluffy hesitated, her puffy edges shifting as she tried to find the words. I want to paint the sunsets. I really do. But I'm afraid I'll ruin the sky. What if my colors don't look as beautiful as the others? What if the world doesn't like them?" The wind paused, considering her words. Then, With a soft laugh, it swirled upward, lifting Fluffy higher. Ah, Fluffy, you're thinking too much. The sky doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be filled with heart. Sometimes, it's the unexpected swirls and streaks that make the most beautiful sunsets. Fluffy puffed up slightly, unsure whether the wind was right. But I've seen the other clouds work. Their colors are so bold and confident. Mine feel small. The wind blew around her, tugging at her edges playfully. Bold doesn't always mean better, and small doesn't mean unimportant. Let me show you something. Before Fluffy could respond, the wind whisked her toward a quiet corner of the sky, away from the bustling clouds. Below them was a serene valley filled with wildflowers. The wind swept through the field, stirring petals of every color: soft blues, gentle pinks, pale yellows. The flowers danced in harmony, their hues blending seamlessly into one another. "Do you see?" the wind asked, its voice carrying a hint of pride. "These flowers don't try to outshine one another. Together, they create something beautiful. The same is true of the sky. Your colors don't need to be bold to stand out. They just need to be yours." Fluffy gazed at the scene below, feeling a small flicker of inspiration. She liked the way the colors blended, like whispers of softness painting the earth. Could her sunsets be like this? Subtle, yet meaningful. The wind swirled back up to her, nudging her gently. "Why don't you try tonight, Fluffy? Just a little stroke of color. No one has to see it if you don't want them to. But let your colors breathe. I promise you'll feel lighter." Fluffy considered this. She wasn't sure if she was ready, but the wind's words lingered in her heart. Perhaps she could try, just a little, and see what happened. As the day wore on and the sun began its descent, Fluffy floated back to her usual spot in the sky. The other clouds were gathering again, chatting about the vibrant displays they planned to create. Fluffy stayed quiet, watching from a distance. But this time, as the horizon began to glow with the first hints of evening, she felt a tiny surge of courage. Maybe tonight, she thought. Maybe just a small streak of color. And with that, she waited for the sunset to begin. As the golden light of evening began to stretch across the sky, Fluffy lingered on the edges of the gathering clouds. Puffy, the boldest and largest among them, was already boasting about the vibrant display he had planned for the evening. "Tonight, my crimson and gold will take center stage," he declared, his edges puffing out with confidence. The other clouds clapped and cheered, eager to see his work. Fluffy tucked herself further behind a passing breeze, her heart both longing to join and filled with doubt. She could never match the brilliance of Puffy's colors, nor the dazzling streaks of the other clouds. What could her soft, muted hues possibly contribute? The sun, as it began its descent, noticed Fluffy's retreat and cast a gentle ray toward her. It wrapped her in warm light, soft and reassuring. "Fluffy," the sun said in its golden voice, "why are you hiding back here? The sky is waiting for your touch." Fluffy's small form quivered as she answered, "I'm afraid, sun. I'm afraid my colors won't be as beautiful as the others. What if my work isn't good enough?" The sun glowed brighter for a moment, its warmth enveloping her like a comforting embrace. "Ah, little one, beauty is not about being the brightest or the boldest. Beauty is in being true to yourself. Each sunset is unique because it reflects the heart of the cloud who paints it." Fluffy looked at the horizon, where the other clouds were already beginning to stretch their colors across the sky. Streaks of orange and red began to form, bold and commanding. "But their colors are so vibrant," she murmured. "Mine feel too soft, too quiet. I don't think they're enough." The sun tilted slightly, its rays casting a soft amber glow over Fluffy. Have you ever noticed the quiet moments of a sunset? The gentle pinks that hug the edges of the sky, the soft purples that cradle the first stars. Those are the moments people remember when they seek calm and peace. Your colors, Fluffy, bring something the others cannot, a sense of serenity. Fluffy hesitated, her edges fluffing up in thought. She had never considered that her colors could have a purpose beyond comparison. "Do you really think so?" she asked, her voice a whisper. "I know so," the sun replied, its golden light flickering with certainty. "The world doesn't need another puffy or another bold streak. It needs you. It needs your gentle hues to complete the sky." The wind, who had been listening nearby, swirled around her. "The sun is right, Fluffy, and you don't have to paint the whole sky all at once. Just try one stroke tonight. A little streak of pink or lavender. I'll help carry it across the horizon." Fluffy felt a small flicker of courage spark inside her. Maybe, just maybe, she could try. "But what if I make a mistake?" she asked, her voice still tinged with worry. The sun chuckled warmly. "Mistakes, little one, are how the most beautiful things are born. A streak that bends, or a color that blends unexpectedly, can create magic. Trust yourself." Fluffy floated quietly for a moment, looking out at the vast expanse of sky before her. It was so big, so open. The idea of contributing even a small part felt both thrilling and terrifying. But the sun's warmth and the wind's encouragement gave her something she hadn't felt in a long time: hope. As the evening deepened and the sky turned from golden to amber, Fluffy took a deep breath. She wasn't sure what her colors would look like, or if anyone would notice them at all. But tonight, for the first time, she decided to try. The sky buzzed with excitement as the clouds gathered. News had spread quickly across the heavens. A contest was announced to find the most extraordinary sunset ever painted. Each cloud would have the chance to showcase their creativity, their colors spreading across the horizon for all to see. Puffy, as usual, took center stage, his voice booming with confidence. "This is it, my friends. Tonight, the sky will be mine. I've been preparing for this moment for weeks." He puffed himself up even larger, his edges glowing faintly with the anticipation of his fiery reds and brilliant golds. The other clouds cheered, their excitement rippling through the atmosphere. They began chattering about their plans. Soft apricots, shimmering ambers, bold streaks of scarlet. Each cloud was eager to outshine the other, their playful rivalry fueling the air with energy. Fluffy lingered at the edge of the group, her small form barely noticeable among the crowd. She felt a mixture of admiration and unease as she listened to the other clouds' bold declarations. "The most extraordinary sunset ever painted," she whispered to herself. "I could never compete with that." The wind, ever her loyal friend, swirled up beside her. "Why so glum, little one? This is your chance. You've been practicing so much. Why not show the sky what you can do?" Fluffy quivered nervously, her soft edges trembling. "But what if my colors aren't bright enough? What if they're too quiet for something like this? The others are so confident, and their work is always so bold. My strokes feel small." The wind gave her a playful nudge, sending a little spin of air through her middle. "Small doesn't mean insignificant, Fluffy. Haven't you noticed how the world below falls silent during the quietest moments of the sunset? Your softness has its own kind of magic." Fluffy hesitated. She wanted to believe the wind, but doubt still tugged at her. The thought of putting her work out for all to see, the possibility of failure, or worse, ridicule, felt overwhelming. Just then, the sun stretched out a warm, golden ray toward Fluffy, enveloping her in light. "Little one," it said gently, "you don't have to outshine anyone. This contest isn't about being the loudest or the boldest. It's about sharing something unique. The world needs your voice too, and it's waiting to see the beauty only you can create." Fluffy looked up at the sun's comforting glow, her heart stirring with a faint flicker of courage. The sun always seemed to know just what to say, and though she was still unsure, its words planted a small seed of hope in her. Nearby, Puffy laughed loudly, drawing all attention back to himself. "Well, little Fluffy," he called out with a smirk, "are you planning to enter the contest? Or will you just be watching from the sidelines again?" His voice was teasing, but there was an edge to it that made Fluffy shrink back. The other clouds turned to look at her, their expressions a mix of curiosity and doubt. Fluffy felt the weight of their gazes and wished she could disappear. I don't know," she murmured, her voice barely audible. The wind swooped in protectively, circling her in a comforting spiral. "She'll decide when she's ready," it said firmly. brushing away Puffy's taunts. Not everyone needs to shout to be seen. The sun dipped lower, casting a golden-orange glow over the sky. It was almost time for the contest to begin. The clouds moved into position, ready to unveil their masterpieces. Fluffy floated back, watching as they spread out across the horizon. Her heart raced as she thought about what lay ahead. The wind's and the sun's words replayed in her mind, mingling with her own fears. Could she do it? Could she truly let her colors show in front of everyone? As the first streaks of bold red and orange began to appear, Fluffy made a quiet decision. She might not be the brightest, the loudest, or the boldest, but tonight, she would try. Even if it was just one small stroke of color, she would let herself be seen. As the contest buzz settled into the air, Fluffy couldn't shake her nervousness. That night, she didn't summon the courage to paint. Instead, she watched from the edges as bold streaks of crimson, gold, and fiery orange filled the sky. Puffy's dramatic display dominated the evening, and while the other clouds clapped and cheered for his work, Fluffy quietly drifted away, unnoticed. The next morning, the sun rose bright and warm, sending beams of encouragement across the heavens. The wind, always observant, found Fluffy floating near a quiet corner of the sky, a faint wisp of melancholy lingering around her. "You didn't try last night, little one," the wind said gently, swirling around her. Fluffy sighed, her edges drooping. "I wanted to, but I didn't know where to start. And then everyone was watching, and I got scared. What if I make a mistake?" The wind chuckled softly, nudging her toward the horizon. "That's why you practice, Fluffy. Let's find you a quiet sky where no one will watch. You can paint just for yourself. No expectations, no competition, just your colors flowing freely. How does that sound?" Fluffy hesitated, then nodded. Maybe a private space to experiment was what she needed. The wind guided her to a peaceful valley where the world below stretched out like a canvas. Soft meadows dotted with wildflowers swayed in the breeze, and a serene river shimmered in the sunlight. The sky above was clear and inviting, untouched by the bold strokes of other clouds. "Go ahead," the wind encouraged. "Try something small. No one's here but you and me." Fluffy took a deep breath. Slowly, she let out a wisp of color, a faint lavender streak that stretched across the horizon. It was delicate, almost shy, but it felt like a tiny part of her was being set free. The wind swirled around it, blending it softly with a hint of pale pink. "That's it," the wind whispered. "See how your colors flow? They don't have to shout to be noticed. They speak in their own quiet way." Encouraged, Fluffy tried again, this time adding a soft peach that melted into the lavender. The colors swirled and danced together, forming a gradient that reminded her of the gentle light before dawn. She watched her work unfold, feeling a flicker of pride. But as she continued, her strokes became uncertain. One streak was too thick, another too faint. "I'm not very good at this," she said, shrinking slightly. "The colors don't look right." The wind laughed lightly. "Not every stroke will be perfect, Fluffy. That's the beauty of practice. It's not about being perfect. It's about learning. Keep going." Fluffy tried again, experimenting with hues she hadn't used before. A touch of coral, a hint of gold. Some blended beautifully, while others clashed awkwardly. Yet as she looked at her patchwork sky, she felt something she hadn't expected. A spark of joy. I think I like it," she admitted quietly, her edges puffing slightly with pride. The wind swirled around her in excitement. "That's the spirit. Your colors have a softness that feels like a lullaby for the world below. They don't need to scream to be seen. They whisper, and the earth listens." Fluffy spent the rest of the day practicing. She painted and erased, learning how her colors moved and flowed together. Some skies were messy, full of uneven strokes and blotches, but others glowed with a quiet beauty that even she couldn't deny. By the time the sun began to dip toward the horizon, Fluffy felt lighter than she had in days. She wasn't ready to showcase her work in front of the other clouds just yet, but she felt a flicker of hope in her heart. Maybe she didn't need to be the brightest or the boldest. Maybe her quiet colors had their own kind of magic. As the evening arrived, the wind whispered one last encouragement. "You're getting better every time, little one. When you're ready to share your colors with the world, I'll be there to carry them far and wide." Fluffy smiled softly, watching the horizon glow with the colors of the other clouds. She still wasn't sure if she'd ever be as bold as Puffy or as confident as the others, but for the first time, she felt like she might have something beautiful to share. And that was enough for now. As the days passed, Fluffy continued to practice in her quiet corner of the sky. Each morning, the wind would guide her to a secluded place, and she would experiment with her colors, blending soft lavenders with warm peaches, or pairing gentle pinks with delicate shades of gold. Slowly, she was learning how her hues could flow together like a melody, creating skies that felt calm and soothing. But while Fluffy's confidence grew in her secret practice sessions, she couldn't ignore the voice of doubt that lingered in her heart. Each evening, as the contest continued, the other clouds would proudly display their bold, vibrant sunsets, filling the sky with dramatic streaks of fiery reds, deep oranges, and dazzling yellows. Puffy's works were especially striking, commanding attention with their intensity. Fluffy would watch from the edges, her small form blending into the twilight, She admired the other clouds' confidence and creativity, but it also made her feel even smaller. Her colors seemed so quiet, so soft in comparison. Could they ever belong in the same sky? One evening, as Fluffy floated on the outskirts of the gathering clouds, she overheard their chatter. "Did you see my sunset last night?" Puffy boomed, his voice brimming with pride. "The reds practically set the horizon on fire. And mine had streaks of amber so bright that even the stars blushed," added another cloud with a laugh. The others joined in, boasting and complimenting one another's work. Fluffy shrank back, her edges dimming slightly. She couldn't imagine her soft hues holding their own among such bold, confident displays. The wind, noticing her retreat, swirled over to her side. "Why do you always stay so far away, little one? Your colors are ready. I've seen the skies you've painted. They're beautiful." Fluffy sighed, her voice barely more than a whisper. "Maybe they're beautiful when no one else is watching. But what if they don't look good next to everyone else's work? What if the other clouds laugh at me?" The wind spun around her gently, like a comforting hug. "Do you know why the sky is so vast, Fluffy? It's because it has room for every kind of color, bright and bold, soft and quiet. Your work doesn't need to compete with theirs. It needs to complement it. Together, all the colors make the sky whole." "But Puffy is so good at painting fiery sunsets," Fluffy said hesitantly, glancing toward the group of confident clouds. "What if my colors look out of place next to his?" Before the wind could respond, the sun, who had been listening quietly, sent a soft ray toward Fluffy. Its warmth wrapped around her like a gentle embrace. "Fluffy," the sun said kindly, "do you remember the flowers in the valley? Some are bright and bold, while others are pale and delicate. Yet together, they create a field so beautiful that people stop to admire it." Fluffy nodded, remembering the wildflowers she had seen during her practice sessions. Their quiet beauty had inspired her soft gradients, but it still felt so different from the dramatic skies Puffy created. The sun continued, its light glowing warmly. "The sky needs balance, little one. Your gentle hues bring peace and calm to the chaos of the day. They remind the world to pause and breathe. Don't hide them away. They're a gift." Fluffy wanted to believe the sun's words, but doubt still clouded her thoughts. She looked down at the earth below, where rivers glimmered and forests swayed in the evening breeze. Somewhere, people were surely watching the sky, waiting for the sunset to unfold. "Do you really think they'd notice me?" she asked softly. The wind swirled up beside her, its voice light and encouraging. "Oh, they'll notice you, Fluffy. The world has been waiting for your colors. They just don't know it yet. And when you're ready, I'll be there to carry your hues across the sky." The sun dipped lower, casting its warm glow over the horizon. The other clouds began their work, painting bold strokes of crimson and gold, that lit up the heavens. Fluffy stayed back, as she always did, watching their confidence with both awe and uncertainty. But deep within her, a tiny spark of courage flickered. She wasn't ready yet, but maybe soon she would find the strength to let her colors shine. And maybe, just maybe, the sky would have room for her soft, quiet hues after all. The sky that evening was unusually quiet. Puffy and the other clouds had exhausted themselves in the days-long contest, their bold displays taking every ounce of their energy. Tonight, the horizon was subdued, painted in the softest golds and pale blues. Fluffy lingered at the edge of the group, unnoticed as always, watching the calm sky stretch out before her. The wind found her there, its gentle currents swirling around her. "Fluffy, tonight's the perfect night," it whispered excitedly. "The other clouds are resting, and the sky is waiting for you. There's no pressure. Just paint what you feel." Fluffy hesitated, her edges trembling. The wind's words filled her with a mix of hope and fear. She wanted to try, but what if her colors weren't enough to fill the vastness of the evening sky? "I don't know if I can do it," she said softly. "What if I fail?" The wind nudged her gently, lifting her higher. "Failure isn't trying and falling short, Fluffy. It's not trying at all. Let your colors breathe, even if it's just a tiny stroke. I'll be here to help." Below, the world seemed to hold its breath as the first stars began to peek through the fading light. The sun, nearing the horizon, sent a soft ray toward Fluffy, wrapping her in its golden warmth. "Little one," it said kindly, "the sky is yours tonight. Remember, you don't need to fill it all at once. Start with one brushstroke and see where it takes you." Fluffy looked out at the expanse of the sky, her heart racing. It felt so big, so open, and the thought of painting even a small part of it was overwhelming. But the wind and the sun had always believed in her, and tonight, for the first time, she wanted to believe in herself too. Taking a deep breath, Fluffy let out her first wisp of color. A soft lavender streak stretched across the horizon, delicate and quiet, like the first note of a lullaby. It wasn't bold or dramatic like Puffy's fiery reds, but it felt true to her. The wind swirled around the lavender streak, blending it gently with a touch of pale pink. "Beautiful," it whispered. "Keep going." Encouraged by the wind's support, Fluffy tried again. This time, she added a soft blush of peach that melted into the lavender, creating a gradient that reminded her of the dawn's first light. Her edges began to puff with a small sense of pride. The sun dipped lower, its glow now a warm amber. "Look at the horizon, Fluffy," it said. "Your colors are beginning to touch the world below. The rivers shimmer, the hills glow, and the trees sway in your light. They feel your presence. Fluffy looked down, her heart skipping as she saw her soft hues reflected in the landscape. The wildflowers seemed to glow in harmony with her palette, their gentle colors blending with her own. For the first time, she felt a flicker of connection with the earth below. Maybe, just maybe, her soft colors could be enough. She added a gentle hint of gold to her sky, letting it swirl with the peach and lavender. The result was subtle but mesmerizing, like the last light of evening wrapping the world in a tender embrace. Fluffy watched her work unfold, her heart swelling with a quiet joy. The wind carried her colors further, spreading them across the horizon like a whispered song. "You've done it, Fluffy," it said softly. "You've painted your first sky." Fluffy floated back, her edges glowing faintly with pride. It wasn't a bold or fiery sunset, but it was hers, soft and serene, just like she had always imagined. As the first stars twinkled in the fading light, the sun gave her one last warm embrace. "Rest now, little one," it said gently. "Tonight, you've shown the world something beautiful, and this is just the beginning." Fluffy drifted quietly through the night, her soft colors fading into the darkened sky. For the first time, she felt a sense of belonging, not just to the sky, but to herself. The wind's gentle hum lulled her to sleep, carrying the promise of more sunsets to come. The following evening, Fluffy floated higher than she ever had before, her heart still full of warmth from the previous night's quiet triumph. The soft lavender and peach hues she had painted on the horizon lingered in her memory like a dream, and for the first time, she felt truly at peace with her own colors. As the evening arrived, the other clouds gathered again, ready to show their fiery streaks of crimson and gold. Fluffy drifted to her usual quiet corner, feeling her nervousness stir at the thought of competing again. She wasn't sure if she was ready for another contest, but she couldn't shake the excitement of what she had created the night before. Could she really paint again in front of everyone? Would they see her work as worthy? The wind floated up beside her, its breeze light and playful. "You did beautifully last night, Fluffy," it whispered. "The world noticed your colors. You've already found your place in the sky. Tonight, share it with the others." Fluffy looked out across the horizon, where the sun was beginning its descent. It cast a soft, golden glow that promised the evening's colors would be special. But she still hesitated, the doubt creeping in once again. What if they think my colors are too quiet again? What if they aren't bright enough? The wind sighed, twirling around her gently. "You've already painted a sunset that was just right. Why would tonight be any different?" The sun, hearing the doubt in Fluffy's voice, sent a warm beam her way. "Remember what we've talked about," it said kindly. "The sky needs all kinds of colors. Some will be bold, and some will be soft. Your softness has its own strength. It makes the world pause and breathe. There's no need to compete. Just paint with your heart. Fluffy took a deep breath, letting the sun's warmth settle into her edges. She wasn't sure if she was ready, but something deep within her felt the call to try again. She was no longer painting for the contest. She was painting for herself. As the other clouds began their work, filling the sky with dramatic streaks of red and orange, Fluffy gathered her courage. She allowed her edges to stretch a little wider and released her first stroke of color, a soft lavender streak that brushed across the horizon. It was subtle, a quiet whisper against the boldness of the others, but it felt right. The wind swirled around her, embracing the lavender with gentle warmth, blending it softly with a touch of peach. "Perfect," it whispered. "Now, add a little more." Fluffy's heart fluttered as she dipped into her colors again, adding more peach to the lavender, letting the two blend together into a soft, glowing gradient. She watched in awe as the colors spread across the sky, peaceful and serene. It wasn't loud, but it was undeniably beautiful. The other clouds were still busy with their bright, fiery hues, but something strange began to happen. As Fluffy's colors spread further across the sky, a calmness seemed to settle over the world. The winds stilled, and the birds flying overhead paused to admire the quiet beauty unfolding below. Even the trees swayed more gently in the evening breeze, as if in sync with the peaceful colors Fluffy had painted. It was as if her hues had brought a quiet harmony to the chaos of the world. Slowly, the first stars began to twinkle through the soft gradient of her colors, and the sky seemed to sigh with contentment. The other clouds, busy with their own masterpieces, glanced over at Fluffy's sky. At first, they didn't say anything, but as the evening deepened, a few of them began to notice the effect her work was having. The sky felt different, calmer, softer, and more balanced. Even the sun, which had once been the fiery backdrop to their bold strokes, seemed to appreciate Fluffy's gentle touch. "Did you see that?" Puffy asked, his voice a little quieter than usual. "Fluffy's colors. There's something else." Another cloud nodded. "Yes, they bring peace, don't they? It's like the sky is breathing a little slower, a little deeper." Fluffy blushed, her edges glowing with a soft pride. She hadn't expected this kind of reaction. She hadn't expected anyone to notice. But it wasn't about the applause or the recognition. It was about the way her colors made the world feel. The wind, still swirling joyfully around her, whispered, "See, you've done it. Your colors are exactly what the sky needed." As the last light of the sun dipped below the horizon, the world below seemed to sigh in unison, basking in the warmth of Fluffy's soft colors. The sky was quiet, peaceful, and whole. And for the first time, Fluffy felt that her place in the sky was secure. The stars began to shine brighter, twinkling in harmony with the colors she had created. The earth below seemed to pause, caught in the serenity of the moment. Fluffy smiled to herself, a quiet, contented smile. She had finally embraced her unique colors, and in doing so, she had found her place in the vast, beautiful sky. The following days passed like a dream, with Fluffy continuing to paint the sky each evening, her soft colors now a beloved feature of the horizon. The other clouds had come to recognize the beauty of her gentle strokes. Some of them had even started to incorporate softer shades into their own works, blending fiery oranges and vibrant reds with gentle pinks and lavender. There was a harmony in the sky that hadn't been there before, a balance between boldness and quiet calm. Fluffy was no longer the shy, unsure cloud she once was. Her confidence had bloomed, not from competing or comparing herself to the others, but from finding her own voice in the sky. She had come to realize that the sky needed both kinds of clouds, the loud, fiery ones and the soft, serene ones, and each had its place. One evening, as Fluffy floated in her favorite corner of the sky, she noticed something new. A dark, swirling storm cloud appeared on the horizon. It was unlike any cloud Fluffy had ever seen. A giant, heavy mass of deep grey and swirling black. The other clouds paused in their work, glancing at the new arrival with a mixture of concern and curiosity. Fluffy felt a flutter of nervousness in her chest. She had never seen a storm cloud this close before. What did it want? Would it disrupt the peaceful skies she had worked so hard to create? The wind, sensing her concern, swept around her in a comforting swirl. "Don't worry, Fluffy," it said gently. "Storms are part of the sky too. They bring rain, which the earth needs. They bring change, and sometimes they bring new beginnings." Fluffy watched the storm cloud grow larger as it approached. The winds picked up, swirling around it with increasing intensity. The storm cloud rumbled softly, sending shivers through the air. It was as though the sky itself was holding its breath. The sun, who had been quietly sinking toward the horizon, sent a beam toward Fluffy. "You've learned so much, little one," the sun said with warmth. "Storms may seem frightening, but they are part of the cycle. The sky isn't always calm. It needs change. It needs the storm clouds. Your gentle colors have brought peace to the world, but you must also learn how to embrace the storm." Fluffy floated higher, her eyes locked on the dark mass of the storm cloud. She had painted so many peaceful sunsets, so many soft colors, but she had never faced something like this before. Would the storm cloud destroy her calm skies? Would it overpower her gentle hues? But as the storm cloud drew closer, Fluffy noticed something. Beneath its dark, swirling mass, there were flashes of bright white. Lightning danced within it, illuminating the sky in brief, brilliant bursts. Fluffy's curiosity stirred. The storm cloud wasn't all dark. It had its own kind of beauty. The wind, sensing her wonder, whispered, "Do you see it, Fluffy? The storm cloud isn't just a force of chaos. It has its own kind of grace. Sometimes, the storm is necessary to bring the rain, to renew the earth. Without it, there wouldn't be growth." Fluffy thought about this, her heart racing. Could she, in her soft, gentle way, help the storm? Could she find a way to bring her calm to the chaos? Slowly, Fluffy gathered her courage and took a deep breath. She released a small wisp of lavender, stretching it gently across the horizon toward the storm cloud. The lavender began to blend with the storm's swirling blackness, creating a beautiful contrast. For a moment, it looked as if the storm clouds softened, the dark edges of the clouds lightening just slightly as the lavender hue mixed with the darkness. Fluffy added a delicate streak of pink, weaving it through the lavender. The colors began to dance with the storm, not fighting it, but complementing it. The storm cloud rumbled again, but now there was a different energy, an electricity in the air that felt alive, vibrant, and full of potential. As she painted, Fluffy realized something important. Her colors didn't need to avoid the storm. They didn't need to fight it or run from it. She could be a part of it, blending with the power and strength of the storm, adding a touch of peace to the chaos. She could bring balance, just as the sun brought light after the storm. The storm cloud swirled above, flashing with occasional bursts of lightning. But now, the lavender and pink hues seemed to calm its wild energy, softening the edges and creating a stunning dance of light and color. The rain began to fall gently, as if the storm had found its rhythm, its chaos transformed by Fluffy's calming touch. Below, the earth sighed in relief, the rivers drinking deeply of the rain, the flowers drinking in the renewal. The people below looked up, mesmerized by the rare beauty of a storm softened by gentle hues. Fluffy floated back, her heart swelling with pride. She had done it. She had embraced the storm, not by overpowering it, but by adding something unique, something only she could offer. The wind swirled around her in delight. You see, Fluffy, the storm didn't need to be feared. It needed your colors, your calm. Together, you created something beautiful. The storm cloud, now gentle and glowing with the soft light of Fluffy's colors, slowly began to drift away, its rain falling steadily, nourishing the earth. Fluffy watched it go, feeling a new sense of understanding in her heart. Storms and calm skies could coexist. There was room for both in the sky. As the night deepened, Fluffy looked out at the stars that twinkled through the soft lavender and pink sky. She had learned a valuable lesson. Even in the midst of chaos, there was beauty to be found. And sometimes, the greatest gift she could give the world was not to fight against the storm, but to help it find its place in the sky. The days that followed were filled with new experiences and lessons for Fluffy. She continued to paint each evening, her soft colors becoming a familiar presence in the sky. The other clouds had begun to embrace the balance she had introduced, blending their bold hues with gentle streaks of lavender, peach, and soft gold. There was a quiet harmony in the sky that made the world below feel peaceful, as if the heavens themselves were at rest. But Fluffy's journey wasn't over yet. She had learned so much already: how to embrace her colors, how to blend with the storm, how to find her place among the other clouds. But there was still one thing she hadn't yet fully understood. The sky, with all its vastness, was infinite, and her possibilities were limitless. One evening, as Fluffy floated in her favorite spot, the wind swirled around her, playful as always. "Do you feel it, Fluffy?" it whispered, lifting her higher. "The sky is calling you to create something new, something you've never tried before." Fluffy blinked, her heart fluttering with excitement and fear. "What do you mean, something new? I've painted so many sunsets already." The wind giggled softly, swirling around her like a gentle embrace. "You've painted beautiful sunsets, yes. But the sky isn't just sunsets. There are sunrises, and there are clouds that need to be painted even after the sun has set. There's a whole world of possibilities waiting for you, if you're ready to explore it." Fluffy looked out at the horizon. The sun had just set, leaving behind a soft, lingering glow. The sky was deepening into twilight, and the stars were beginning to peek through. It was a time of transition between day and night, light and dark. "I've never painted anything like this before," Fluffy said softly. "The sky feels different now. It's so still, so quiet. What if I can't capture its stillness?" The wind moved gently around her, as if encouraging her to take the next step. "The stillness is part of it, Fluffy. Sometimes, the most powerful moments are the ones where everything seems to pause. You don't need to capture the movement or the boldness of the day. You can capture the peace, the quiet beauty that comes when the world is resting." Fluffy thought about this, her edges gently rippling as she considered the sky before her. It wasn't like the fiery sunsets she had painted, but it was beautiful in its own way, soft, serene, and full of possibility. The stars twinkled softly, their faint light blending with the remaining glow of the sun. The world below seemed to hold its breath, waiting for something new to emerge. Taking a deep breath, Fluffy gathered her courage. She released a soft wisp of lavender into the twilight, letting it blend with the soft blue of the night sky. The lavender streaked across the sky, delicate and calming, like a whisper in the wind. Next, she added a touch of pale peach, allowing it to blend gently with the lavender, creating a smooth gradient that glowed softly against the deepening sky. It wasn't a bright or fiery painting, but it was a reflection of the stillness, the peacefulness of the moment. Fluffy continued to paint, adding layers of soft hues, creating a sky that felt like a quiet lullaby. The stars twinkled through the soft colors, and the world below seemed to fall into a gentle rest. It was as if the entire world had paused, caught in the peaceful moment she had painted. As she floated back to admire her work, Fluffy felt a deep sense of satisfaction. She hadn't painted a sunset or a storm. She had painted a moment of peace, a quiet space between day and night. And in that moment, she understood something important. The sky wasn't just a place for bold displays and dramatic colors. It was a canvas for every kind of beauty, from the loudest storms to the softest whispers of twilight. The wind, swirling joyfully around her, whispered, "You've done it, Fluffy. You've painted something entirely new. You've captured the stillness, the quiet beauty that comes when the world pauses to rest. Your colors are limitless, just like the sky. There is always something new to create." Fluffy smiled, her edges glowing with quiet pride. She had embraced the endless possibilities of the sky, and in doing so, she had found a new way to share her colors with the world. As the night deepened, the stars shone brightly against the soft pastel sky she had created. The world below, wrapped in the calm of her colors, seemed to fall into a peaceful slumber. Fluffy floated peacefully among the clouds, knowing that her journey was far from over. There would always be new skies to paint, new moments to capture, and endless possibilities to explore. And as long as she embraced her unique colors, there would always be a place for her in the vast, beautiful sky.